Hey, fellow white guys.
It's about to be a new year.
And there's a few things we think you could do a little bit better in 2017.
First off, it's time for white guys to apologize. On behalf of white guys, I'm sorry.
Try to recognize that America was never great for anyone who wasn't a white guy.
It's time for white people to suffer. Come on, guys. We've had it too good for too long.
Also, Blue Lives Matter isn't a thing.
Cops weren't born with blue skin, right? I mean, yeah, they weren't born blue.
They were born racist. All of them.
Stop bragging about being woke. Stop saying woke.
You, cracker.
Learn what mansplaining is, and then stop doing it.
Stop telling your children that it's wrong for a man to cut his off and become a woman.
We all love Beyonce, and yeah, she's black, so of course she cares about black issues. I'm talking to you, Fox News.
Feel free to take Kanye West, though. You guys can have him.
You know what you did, Kanye.
Kanye West is a violent white racist.
Nobody who has black friends says that they have black friends.
And just because you have black friends doesn't mean you're not racist. You can be racist with black friends.
If you're white, you're a racist. If you're a black Republican, you're the worst kind of racist. I'm looking at you, Ben Carson. Bigot.
But he's perfect.
But honestly, you could do a little better in 2017.
2016 is bad.
If you're white in 2017, peel the skin off of your face and wear it inside out. Light yourself on fire. Kill your children. F your own face. Anything but what you did in 2016. 2016 was bad. 2017 can't be this bad. All right. We're live. Playing some old videos while I'm testing new ways to start the show. Going to be doing some more experimenting like that. Can you guys hear me in the chats? I think I'm working here. All right, let's dive in. That was from 2017, by the way. The identity politics narrative has been that strong for that long. Used to love cutting myself and putting myself into all those ridiculous woke ads that they did. Hopefully, there will not be many more of those to do. So, Super Bowl ad rewards part 2, the Trump Seesaw, and Nancy Mace's speech, which I don't know if you saw that, but I have some thoughts on it. I have a lot of thoughts on it because it also reminds me of something that was popularized, went viral in 2017, and was not a good thing. So we'll get to that here in a moment. What's up, Zach? I appreciate that. Okay, real quick here. I want to say thank you to... Let me get this up on screen here. Where are we? There you go. Thank you to Omalum, I believe. Yes, Omalum, who left a 5-star review recently and said, fantastic show, Brad. Thanks for the content. That's both hilarious and informative. Keep up the fantastic work. I appreciate that. And also, another 5-star review from @Phil11 who said, the show is a good range of interesting stuff. All we can do is laugh at the show that the world has been putting on. Please keep it up. It makes me happy when I see the latest episode. It's definitely the best way to consume the news. Thank you. And thank you, Phil. Those are the types of comments that warm my heart and help keep me motivated. So that is one way to help the show is leave a 5-star review and a comment that warms my heart. Share it with your friends so I can grow the show. We can reach more people and then bring in more funds and do more cool things because we have a lot of cool things and a lot of smart people, but not always resources and funds. So would like to generate some more of that so we can get some people together and make some films, do some more man on the street, stuff like that. Also, you can support the show financially by going to the, can you see it? Oh, let me get that out of there. You can't even see me. I forgot I did that. There you go. Now you can see me. Hold on. I got to change this. You see on the screen there, it is tinyurl.com/propaganda. No, wait. tinyurl.com/prop show is what it is. That's one way. One-time donation or recurring donation. Blah, blah, blah. You know the drill. Follow me on YouTube. Follow me at Freedom Act Radio on X, Rumble, all the platforms, Propaganda Report Podcast on your podcast app. And you can find all those links on the tiny URL that is in the bio of my X page, and X DMs are the best way to get in touch with me. You know, I don't like advertising, but I have to do it. Let's dive into the show now. What's up, Bad Christian? What's up, Angela? Greetings from San Francisco. What's the weather like out there in San Fran? I remember it being very windy when I went to San Fran. It was a very, very long time ago, though. You're from California, Bad Christian. You're not in the you didn't get your house burned down, did you, out there, Bad Christian? I hope not. Nevertheless, tomorrow at 8:30 Eastern Time, Charlie Robinson of the Macroaggressions podcast is going to be joining the show. We're going to be talking to him. You guys are probably familiar with him. Very popular podcast, very intelligent dude and fun guy to talk to. So he's going to be on the show to talk about his new book and just all the happenings going on in the world. That should be a good time. Thank you, Deeslass. I appreciate that. And real quick, got this text just before the show. This thing is right here. All right, so not that. Get rid of that trash. Not that trash. That's not what I mean. I mean the share screen. That's actually fantastic. I love that. Where's this thing? All right, this right here. Look at this. This is great. So these are the types of things that I would like to do when the funding is there to do it. I don't know if you can see that on screen, but I got the text message that says, "Hello, Brad. This is DA Fani Willis, and I want to reach out one last time about my inaugural gala on February 13th. Reserve your tickets while you can. We expect to be sold out soon." And then it gives a link, and it says, "Join our mistress." That's an interesting thing to put in a Fani Willis thing. Our mistress of ceremonies, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, for a night of celebration. Okay. And it says, get your tickets. And then when you go to the link, look how expensive these tickets are. It's at Tyler Perry Studios. And you see this $25,000 and you get two 10-person VIP tables. You and 90 of your friends can get two tables for a mere $25,000 sponsorship of Fani Willis. And District Judge, you know what you can do for $500? You can go by yourself. You can go by yourself to this Fani Willis fundraiser, eat all the Baconators you want with Tyler Perry for $500. Whatever. Unbelievable. She's so corrupt. And they have the audacity to ask for this much money for one of the most blatantly proven to be corrupt DAs in the history of Fulton County. And that's saying something in Fulton County, which is literally Gotham City with no Batman. Goodbye to that. Yeah, those prices are insane. Yeah, is it 420 friendly? I imagine there'll be a little 420 there somewhere, Stoner. White Lightning, that's right. Play a little ball today, Steve. All right, so let's start off with what I'm calling the Trump Seesaw. It's continuing today to go back and forth as it has since January 20th. And I think that will be kind of the mark of his entire presidency, is this seesaw back and forth that we're seeing. For the next 4 years, it's going to happen. A little bit of good, a little bit of bad, a little bit of good, a little bit of bad, just to keep people placated in between outrage. People are going to be getting a little outrage in between celebrations, which I think no president's ever going to give everybody what they want, but I think Trump is uniquely blasting the seesaw back and forth with these highs and lows. This is what I'm talking about. Yesterday, Trump signed an executive order to end the war on plastic straws. Get rid of the paper straw. Get rid of the paper straws. Get all the plastic straws back. They even had a White House fact sheet for it. It's like a long PDF that announced it. How long does a PDF need to be to get rid of the paper straws and bring the plastic ones back in? I don't want any more paper straws in the White House or D.C. or Capitol. We're going to be all plastic, was kind of the gist of it. So, yay, great. That's a celebration because it's a fun thing for people who voted for Trump to celebrate. And then today he said that FEMA is under investigation and that it should be terminated. Yay, awesome, great again. And then he went on later today to assure us that we will not, in fact, buy Gaza. Yes, awesome. We will just take it over. Oh. And that's when that seesaw comes crashing back down to earth, like Lizzo just appeared on your side of it. And you're going to be going far down into Middle Earth if that's the case. And that's how this works. Every day. A little bit of this, a little bit of, oh no. A little bit of, yeah, culture war at home stuff. A little bit of, oh no, we don't like the foreign policy stuff. Especially The most controversial of that being Israel. But that's how it's going to be. Screw the paper straws. Yeah, they feel nasty in your mouth. I don't know that I've ever used a paper straw, honestly. Let's make America great again. What's up, jabroni? I don't even know. I don't even remember. I remember the talk of the paper straws going away. And, like they're killing the turtles or whatever. Or maybe that was the Coke can things. They used to have the plastic. But I don't know that I've ever used a paper straw. Or maybe I have and I just don't even remember. I don't like to use straws. I feel gay using straws, to be honest with you. It's like it's hard to be manly and use a straw. So, try to stay away from this. Why would we be in Gaza? For the casinos, baby. For the casinos. Yeah. No, so what Trump's doing there, we'll talk about that in a second. Just to give you a little more context for all of that. Here's Trump. Here is Trump saying that the FEMA thing. So Trump is such a good showman that he can get you excited about certain things right before crushing that bomb right over the Gaza of your heart. If there's one in there. Okay. He's a very good showman.
How do you stop looking? I mean, we've already found it. We have a case in New York where a hotel has paid $59 million. $59 million because it's housing migrants, illegal migrants. All illegal, I believe.
And they were being paid twice the normal room rate at 100% occupancy.
Unbelievable.
So it's a racket.
Yeah.
There's Elon.
If I may sort of...
How do you stop
That
looking?
is hilarious.
I mean, we've already found.
That's so funny. I don't think that's the whole clip I wanted to show you, but it's got the zoom in on Trump, and then it cuts back, and you see Elon standing there. That's so funny. Even that. So I guarantee you Trump is, you can see him do it sometimes in some of these scenarios. He's given production instructions to the people in the room. Like the lighting, you got to get right. The cameras, you start here. I guarantee it. He grew up, his mom was very theatrical. It's where he gets his sense of theatrics from. I tell people, read his book. Read Art of the Deal, and you will learn a lot about it. He didn't write Art of the Deal. Everybody says, okay, nobody writes their books. They walk around, they talk, and then somebody writes what they say, okay? And that's why people don't read it. It's because they like to argue that point. Read Art of the Deal if you haven't. It's a great book, and you learn a lot about Trump, and you can see how he's been shaped, and you can understand some of the things he's doing. And here is Trump, to give a little more context for the straws, finally ending that war on paper straws. They're going to be scarce. Maybe a black market for those straws. Be fentanyl laced probably at this point. Here we go.
This is an executive order relating to the use of paper straws. As you've consistently identified, nobody really likes paper straws.
The number one.
Look at this guy laughing his ass off to the left. I mean, it would be fun just to be there through the daily barrage of executive orders, because the parody is going to blend with the reality. It already has here. It would not surprise anyone, I think, if Trump literally signed an executive order ensuring that GTA 6 comes out by the end of September. I guarantee you there's a few of those that you think are going to be parody, but are going to be actually legit. And probably for entertainment purposes mostly. Look, this guy thinks it's hilarious.
This is an executive order relating to the use of paper straws. As you've consistently identified, nobody really likes paper straws.
Number one trending. Can you believe it? A paper straw was number one trending for 3 days or something.
The environmental impact of plastic straws versus paper
The president's talking about the number one trend.
straws is entirely unclear. This has cost both the government and private
It's
industry
true. I mean, this
an
is true.
absolute ton of money and left consumers all over the country wildly dissatisfied with their straws. So we're asking aspects of the federal government, federal departments and agencies to look at their existing procurement processes, and we're asking your Domestic Policy Council to look holistically at this issue to address it, and it really is something that affects ordinary Americans in their everyday lives.
We're going back to plastic straws. These things don't work. I've had them many times, and on occasion they break, they explode. If something's hot, they don't last very long, like a matter of minutes, sometimes a matter of seconds. It's a ridiculous situation. So we're going back to plastic straws. I think it's okay.
I love the firsthand testimonial. See, just the audio there, hearing the scratching of the pen. That's on purpose, I guarantee it. Working in movies and TV, that's the type of environmental audio that you want to capture to bring people into the room with you. And I don't know if Trump said, let's make sure we capture that, or whoever. He's got a good stage producer.
And I don't think that plastic's going to affect a shark very much as they're munching their way through the ocean. Okay.
Thank you.
Munching their way through there. He should have said that, Stoner. His paper straws exploded like that Cybertruck in front of my hotel in Vegas. Thank you, Mr. President. The paper straws are jokes, says Bad Christian. Other than Ross, dude, getting pardoned just seems like the administration is an SNL skit. You're right, Stoner. And what's funny about that is SNL, hard for them to parody it. I mean, they haven't done a really good job of parody for the past 10 years or so anyway. But when what they're doing is funnier, it's got to be pretty tough. So it's all interesting to watch. EO ASMR. Yeah, it's like AOC does whenever AOC is talking to her constituents on Instagram. She's always like eating popcorn very sexually and doing ASMR with it. And who said up here, made a good point up here. Santiago says, all these EOs mean nothing without legislation. Once the blue ties get back in, poof, they're all gone. Yeah, many of these, he has to ask for Congress to pass legislation to make something happen, especially with the Department of Education and with eliminating the Department of Education anyway, which I don't think those things are going to get eliminated. Hopefully they stay scaled down instead of being repurposed and built back up in a different direction. We'll see. I like cutting them down. Trump needs a sneaker to drop. He had a new sneaker just dropped. Did he really? Oh, man. What's it look like, TT? I know he had that gold one. The guy is a brander. There's no doubt about that. That's why that Golf of America thing. I mean, that's one of the quickest rebrands you're ever going to see in your life. And everybody, all the tech companies, because they want access, they jumped on board to that. So people don't like Trump. If they can set aside their dislike of him, you can still not like some of the things he does. That's normal. There's no person on the planet that anybody loves everything that they do. It's normal to like some things about people and dislike others. Of course, the impact that some of the decisions that he makes has a mass scale effect on the public. But setting aside that, just his performative aspect of it and his awareness of the zeitgeist, honestly, I'm sure he has people help him with that, but we can all learn from him. His public speaking ability, even though it's crude, it's phenomenal. It's absolutely phenomenal. His pausing, his pacing. A lot of these politicians, they get up there, they erase. This is why, what's his name? DeSantis didn't have a chance against him, because DeSantis, when he came out to speak, he almost appeared like he didn't want to be there, like he wanted to get through it, and perhaps he was nervous. Or perhaps he was more, he's a military guy. Let's just execute and get it done guy. But what DeSantis would do is the crowd would clap for him, and he would interject, and he would talk through the applause, and he would stop their good time. So when a crowd is cheering for you in a live entertainment situation, that's what this stuff is, especially his live events anyway. Maybe not necessarily some of these things, it's televised, but you give the crowd their moment. They're there to be excited, and nobody's better at that than Trump in a live environment. DeSantis, he needs a coach for that, and he can improve. But, man, Trump's natural ability to read the room and feel the energy and give people what they want is truly something. Anybody who pitches things in business, anybody who is trying to become a better public speaker, the tendency is to race through things and to cram more material into less time when it's about the energy, it's about what the audience can accept. And I'm guilty of that in the podcast all the time, totally. It's about allowing them to absorb and be excited because that's what they're there for. Okay, I'll get off that high horse now. I'll get back to this. Who's calling me right now? All right. So the red ties are going to have a serious power vacuum. Yeah. All right. I think that's the last little Trump clip there. Yeah, so the Gaza thing, buying Gaza, here's the thing about that. People say he's negotiating. Yeah, everything Trump does is a negotiation. That's the way that he talks. But when it comes to this, or anything actually, as president, he can't bluff. So he cannot bluff on any of this stuff, because if any of these countries or organizations call Trump on a bluff and Trump is bluffing, then he immediately loses all the power and leverage that he has. So when he says these things that might be portrayed as, oh, that's just an off-the-wall negotiation, maybe, but also he's got to mean it. And, you know, I don't even know if I played the one about taking Gaza. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. I forget that one. I think I forgot to pull that clip up. But yeah, the Gaza thing is like, me personally, I wish we'd stay out of it. But I don't know that we're ever going to have a president that does that kind of thing. And it sucks, you know, unless you get that beachfront property over there. Yeah, it is good entertainment. It's throwing a lot of bread to us. Sean Strickland, isn't that the MMA guy? Even he, earlier today, I saw him tweeting something about how he's about to be waving a Palestine flag, and that this isn't America first. So that's why this back and forth seesaw. So when there's a sense that many of the people who supported him are not happy with the foreign policy direction, you got to give some of these fun EO orders. So this is all the balance of propaganda, entertainment, and, you know, let's just hope it, you know, I personally hope everybody on the planet finds peace and people stop murdering each other. I've said this before. I don't have any personal ties to Palestine, to Israel, more so than anywhere else in the world where there are tragedies going on. I want people to stop killing each other and people to stop being psychopaths. I think Bibi Netanyahu is a supervillain, but I also don't want tax dollars being spent in wars around the world or whatever the hell else. I'll check out the DM after the show. PT. New boss, just like old boss, as far as cannabis, psychedelics, yeah. Isn't it legal where you are, Stoner? Cannabis? All right. Let's see. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens on Saturday. Because I know Trump said, it's not up to me, but hell's gonna break loose if they don't release those hostages. Because Hamas says that Israel broke the ceasefire and we're not gonna release the hostages, and then I think Trump might have said the thing about maybe hell breaks loose if it doesn't happen at noon or something like that on Saturday, which I have to say, noon whose time, okay? It's not the same time here as it is over there in Gaza. We need to have a universal clock here that we're working on, because you don't want to mix things up there. And then Netanyahu said something similar to Trump or something, and they're both just blaming each other, Israel and Gaza, or Israel and Hamas, excuse me, of breaking the ceasefire. It's the same, whatever. Really shocking, right? Really surprising that the ceasefire is on the brink before reaching stage 2. Israel never ceased to fire. Yeah, that is kind of what I heard, is that Israel, I don't even know if they ceased fired in theory only, perhaps. All right, moving on. Okay, Nancy Mace, and I have to premise this subject here. I make fun of Nancy Mace a lot. I make fun of her a whole lot. Okay? And when I do, there's some people on X who don't know me who make the mistake of thinking that because I make fun of Nancy Mace, that it means that I disagree with every position that she expresses, and that I am, in fact, what they hate the most, which is a Kamala voting progressive who hates Trump. I'm not. But these people who see what, because X is where nuance goes to die. And if someone disagrees with one thing slightly, or makes fun of one person that is viewed to be on your side, then that person is immediately the other. People don't even do just a brief cursory overview of my profile sometimes, when all they have to do is click on it, look at it for 2 seconds, and realize that I am not what they think I am when I make fun of Nancy Mace. All right? I make fun of Nancy Mace because, one, we should all be made fun of sometimes. It humbles us all, and we all deserve to be poked fun at a little bit. 2, there's many, many people on X who express many opinions that I agree with, who align with me in many ways, that I mock and I don't trust because I think that they're grifters. And when I apply that label to somebody, I don't do it lightly. I give people the benefit of doubt. I do my due diligence, and I don't say people's names I don't demonize them, and unless I'm talking about public politicians or figures. But there are a number of people who aren't in the political sphere in D.C., but do have a big presence on platforms like X, who I am like 99.9% sure are complete grifters, but it's not my place to brand them as that. Maybe one day we have a conversation, we do a show on it, we'll find out. Nevertheless, I'm not saying Nancy Mace is a grifter, but what I'm saying is that I find Nancy Mace to be as disingenuous and inauthentic as all of the people who say many things that I agree with, who have large accounts on X, that I find to be grifters. And I'm premising this because there's a very sensitive subject that she was involved in yesterday. And like I said, I don't disagree with Nancy Mace's transgender bathroom position, all right? I just don't believe that she is authentic in what she's doing. I believe she's taken the Saul Alinsky model of never buying in to what you propagate to the masses and what you move them with, because then you become a slave to it like them. This is what a lot of these politicians think like. That's why they switch parties so often. They don't care. And I see her that way. I didn't used to see her that way. I used to like her. Not so much anymore. Terminator Mommy does not act, think locally, but keep track. Yeah, she does a great job of taking action locally. She is very authentic, Forrest Mommy is. And she is a model for taking action locally and talking shit to the people who need to have shit talked to them, the federal level, and she has a presence on X that she does it. So that's the type of person who I say, A+, she's great. There are others who, well, they're going to get a D+ or so. Nevertheless, I don't want anybody making the mistake of thinking that I disagree with Nancy Mace about transgender bathrooms or any other positions that, UAP stuff I might disagree with her with. I just find the way she advocates for these issues to be ridiculous and disingenuous, as I said, especially when every stunt that she pulls to promote her position features not the issue at hand front and center, but instead her very, very large breast. Almost always in a form-fitting t-shirt, and 80% of the time with a nipple that looks like it's about to pierce sharply through the fabric of her shirt. How is anyone supposed to think someone is serious like her about the issue at hand when you can't see her head behind the two planets on her chest that are in focus? If the point is the issue, then every single time, why distract with two mountains protruding? It really seems like the priority in every single one, and I mean every single one of her presentations, is to look like a sexy Instagram model who's very busty. The Instagram models are like, look at my new book I got, and all you see is her boobs in the camera, and there's like maybe you see a corner of a book in the background. That's Nancy Mace talking about transgender issues. And the histrionics is even worse, in my opinion. She's not the last stand, the only thing standing between the women's bathroom in the Capitol and an army of transgender women that are storming in. That's just not the case. But the way she talks about it, you'd think she's the Davy Crockett of the ladies' room, holding in the line, as she says, or her new one, I will be your iron. She tries to be Trump. All these people try to be like Trump with the performative aspect of it. They need to take acting classes and get better PR people, because Nancy Mace is not, it's very cringe to me. I didn't realize that she speaks, says Stoner. And that's my point. That's a perfect point. Just like her nipple piercing through her shirt. And I'm going to show you an example of this in a minute. I'm not exaggerating about this. Some people think I'm just being vulgar. I'm not. This is what she does. This is why I stopped liking her. Because she clearly wasn't doing it for the reason she said she was, in my opinion. And on to the issue to premise this with, because I make fun of Nancy Mace, but she gave a speech last night on the floor of the House or something like that. And it was dark. She made some accusations. It was a subject that is no fun to talk about for anybody to talk about it. And she spoke for about an hour about rape. She accused 4 people of raping her, drugging her and raping her, and drugging and raping a bunch of other women. Very forcefully, very, no hesitation. I have all of the evidence you need. She said stuff like that. You would think this is a case closed scenario here. Maybe they did do something. Probably not a black and white situation. There's probably actually beneath all of this it's probably a real illustration of the seediness of Washington, D.C., in my opinion. But, yeah, so she knows Bill Cosby. Absolutely. Yeah, right. That's kind of it's like she took the Bill Cosby model. The truth of this is going to be not all the way over here, not all the way over there, in my opinion. So I don't want anybody to think that I'm just not believing the woman. I'm not defending the guys. I don't know shit about them. All I'm doing is analyzing what Nancy Mace did last night through the same lens that I analyzed the hashtag #MeToo accusations back in 2017. We all remember the hashtag #MeToo, hashtag #BelieveAllWomen stuff. You guys remember? So there was a bunch of these accusations, women who actually they were victimized, who got lost in the shuffle of everybody could throw on a claim because Believe All Women. I saw a Washington Post 2-minute video that did a montage of all these women saying they had been hashtag #MeToo, basically. And it was one after the other, and back to back during the middle of the video was one woman detailing a brutal, bloody rape in a dark alleyway. I mean, it was a horrifying little snippet. And then the person right after her said that somebody had bumped up against her in a crowded bar and touched her butt. And those were being treated the same way. That's what hashtag #MeToo did. Is it hurt real victims by treating every single accusation that ever came as the same, and then nobody believed anything anymore because everything was a court of public opinion. And just because Nancy Mace is a Republican doesn't mean she shouldn't be analyzed through the same lens as the hashtag #MeToo accusations. And so I would just like to provide some context to the allegations that Nancy Mace made last night. She was the Citadel maybe or something like that. Unless I missed you guys are talking about in the chats. Let's see here. Okay, so to begin with, and I will play some of this in a second, what she said. I mean, it's crazy. It's actually crazy, some of the direct, specific accusations she made last night, if she doesn't have absolute proof to get a conviction. It's life-ruining type of stuff, which if the people are guilty of what she says they are, then they deserve it. If they're not, then she's an awful person. I don't know what the answer is. But she made these accusations not during a prepared speech for her. This was not like a hearing for Nancy Mace to come present this sexual assault story. Yet, the entire week leading up to this last night, she was doing all these posts as though this was some special hearing just for her. It was not. This was, when she spoke, it was part of the speech portion of House of Representatives legislative session. A bunch of people went up and spoke about different issues. They're allocated however much time to speak on various topics. And I think she went towards the end. But here's the thing about that legislative public speech session. When congressmen and women speak during these legislative sessions, they are protected from criminal prosecution and civil lawsuits by the Constitution's Speech and Debate Clause, which provides lawmakers with immunity for acts taken within the legislative sphere. That should be the first part of any story about Nancy Mace's accusations last night. It's not. It's buried in the middle, towards the bottom of all of the stories. She spoke, she accused people of things that if she accused them of in any other environment, and she's lying, she could be subjected to criminal or libel and civil cases, prosecution for the criminal. You get it. You know what I'm talking about. But she chose the one environment to make these accusations where someone could lie about them, otherwise a crime, and have immunity. Does that mean she's lying? No, it's just something to remember about the context as further information comes in. Let me find my notes here. Bane. What, are you watching basketball games, Stoner? Yeah, kind of like when people call people Nazis for anything. Yeah, it's... Mace is very much #me too in some of this, it feels like. Maybe it's true, but why do it in an environment where you have immunity to lie is the question. And there's some more context here. Hold on, let me find this. Yeah, so this is her ex-fiance, by the way. This is a guy she was engaged to until 2023. She used to talk about him all the time. And part of the story is Nancy Mace used to talk about her sex life with this guy. That's irrelevant to me personally. I like to stick to, what you can prove and what you can't when it comes to stuff like this. Okay. So, yeah, immunity with those laws, speech and debate, constitutional immunity. All right. And what she did was, most people, I didn't know that. I didn't know that at all when I first started watching this and reading about it. So most people aren't going to know about it. So most people are going to hear and see what she did, and they're going to think somebody to make such accusations, such bold accusations like that, they would never do that because they'd get in trouble, right? So it has to be true. She knows that. And what she also did is she started out her speech. She brought her own Bible, and she held the Bible up to start her speech. And she put her own hand on the Bible, and she said, I solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, like you would do in a court of law. To give the illusion to people who don't do any research on it that she is bound by what she said there, and if it turns out she's lying, like when you maybe lie to Congress, that you could be prosecuted. No, she knew very well. She knows very well that that means nothing in that context. You can do that little show, a theatrics, and you can lie, and there are no consequences if you're found out. But she tried to misdirect her audience there. So that to me is like 2 strikes. There's clear deception going on in this presentation. Does it mean what she says is not true? No. It just means she's trying to slant the story in a direction that doesn't paint the whole picture, to the very least anyway. What she also did, on top of this little Bible, she brought all these freaking props. She presented no evidence. and she tried to rely on these theatrics and deception. She brought a safe, a little tiny safe, and she said, I discovered tens of thousands of these rape videos and drug videos, and when it was her fiance at the time, in 2023, when I discovered them, he took his phone and he put it in a safe like this, and she holds up the safe. And she's like, why would anybody put a phone in a safe like this? And she slams it down. Because a crazy person is trying to hack into their phone. And it seems like maybe she was able to hack into it in a certain way. That is a reason someone would do that. And then she pulled out some handcuffs. And she said, people were telling me that I could get in trouble for this. Why would I get in trouble for this? For standing up and fighting for women, for victims. And she pulled out a victim phone line, and she held the handcuffs out, and she goes, if I'm guilty of standing up and fighting for women. I will be your iron, she starts saying very, bolsterously, whatever. And she's holding his handcuffs. She knows very well why she could get in trouble. She said this in another context. It's all a deception. I'm a little flabbergasted, honestly. Maybe that's not how it works when somebody else is giving a speech there in Congress. Maybe you can't stop them. Because my instinct would be, can I ask a few questions? I would like, if we're going to make such accusations, I would like to see if we could pull some evidence out of this. Because I'm seeing a lot of showmanship. I'm not seeing a lot of evidence. And you're accusing people, three or four people, one your ex, of drugging and raping not only you, but like hundreds of women, including underage women. And if we're going to allow that, I think we should allow some questioning. I guess that's not allowed in Congress. It's a little crazy to me. And what else did she do there? Yeah, she's above the law in that situation. She's doing the Bible. She's doing the handcuffs. She also has a history of being a little bit loose with the truth. When she ran for re-election in 2022 for the House, she's from South Carolina, Trump did not endorse her because after January 6th, she was on board with the insurrection narrative. She said it's going to taint Trump forever, and Trump didn't like that. And so Trump endorsed her opponent. She won. But then when she was running again, actually when she ran in 22, that's why Trump didn't endorse her. But what she did, because she had switched and wanted people to think that Trump endorsed her, is she went and did an ad on her phone, like a TikTok ad, where she stood out in front of Trump Towers. And she started saying about how she fought to get Trump elected and made it seem like he endorsed her, even though he did the opposite. In fact, Trump commented on it. In Trump's own words, he mocked her. He said, talk about Mace, she went to New York and stood in front of the magnificent Trump Tower. Has anyone ever heard of Trump Tower? And did a commercial insinuating that I was endorsing her. She's standing over in front of Trump Tower in New York. I'm saying, can you believe this? It was untruthful, just like everything else she does. Now, all these politicians lie and they're deceptive, but that is, I don't know, it's a brazenness that seems to me. That's a confidence that enough of the people she's targeting in her audience will never see what Trump says or won't care. Because she had to know that he was going to call her out on that. And then when you look at some of her other dramatic claims, Nancy Mace's thing for a few years, her story has been that she was raped when she was 16 years old. She did not tell this story until 2019. 25 years later, something like that. And she told it during a debate in the South Carolina State House on a bill related to abortion. So kind of in the same context, and actually in a setting in South Carolina that also gives her immunity because they have a similar speech and debate clause in the South Carolina Constitution. Now, she has said that outside of that context since then, but from what I understand, she was very more detailed in her claim, just like she is here, with that protection of immunity. Does that mean something didn't happen to her when she was young? No, of course not. But it's interesting that it only happens to come out when it helps her politically. And also, that's the same thing that some of the women that accused Trump did. 25 years later, they make a claim with no evidence, no proof, that Nancy Mace herself writes off and doesn't believe. And yet, we are to just accept Nancy Mace's word because she's a Republican. Seems to be the position of some people. This is how you find, in my opinion, and like I said, I'm not for or against anybody in this situation. I don't know anything about the guys. There could be something there. But she's a wolf in sheep's clothing, in my opinion. She is trying to rise politically. She doesn't give a rat's ass about her constituents. All she wants to do is show off her tits, gain power, probably gain wealth. Whenever they announce this crap decades after it happened, that always raises red. Yeah, I mean, it's like, and I get the argument that people didn't want to speak up and all, but it's just, wow, you happen to mention it right when you could fit a political issue and try to help yourself get elected. It's a little, and then when you add all this other kind of suspect stuff, it definitely raises questions. And so she has some other shady incidents too, like that thing where she said somebody like hit her outside of, I can't remember where she was. She said a trans activist or something, like punched her or pushed her or something back in December. Apparently, all the eyewitnesses say that didn't happen. They arrested that person. He hasn't been convicted or charged. Well, I think they might be investigating him, but I was reading all the eyewitnesses saying no, they were just shaking hands kind of forcefully, and she went and put on an arm brace afterwards. And I'm starting to believe that story because she does not seem credible to me. And to make such serious, like, if she's not telling the truth here, how awful would that be to accuse 4 men by name of drugging and raping dozens, if not hundreds, of women, some underage? That is one of the most awful things someone can do. Not saying she did it, but until she provides evidence that is verifiable, that's on the table, just like them doing it is on the table. Innocent until proven guilty, I guess, on both sides, but since she is the accuser. All right, so here's a little bit from the speech. She's a wolf in wolf's clothing. She's got great breasts, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to take that away from her. I think that's probably why she thinks she can get away with a lot of this stuff, to be honest with you. She's a hottie. Actually, let me show you this real quick. Where's that? Well, all right, so let me show you what let me pull this up. This is what she advertised her speech, her address. I think that's it. So she made a post yesterday saying 7 p.m. is my address, and I'm going to be given to Congress. And here, can you see that? All right. Look at this. I'll make that a little bigger. I don't know if you can see that quite well, but here. So you see down on the right, I'm not going to put the cursor there, but it says tonight, 7 p.m., and it's very artistic with the font. The truth comes out tonight at 7 on the House floor. Tune in. Very dramatic. And it has her in pink standing behind some microphones looking very serious. And you see her boobs very featured prominently. And you see her nipple protruding. Do you really want a nip pushing through your fabric there when you're about to make these sort of accusations? She deleted this post. This post has since been deleted. Good move deleting that because it looks a little sexual. Great breast, don't get me wrong. Probably not the best environment to be showcasing them, especially in that way. And of course she knows it. She always knows it. Here is some of the stuff that she said. I mean, this is wild to come out and say this stuff. These are things that you'd be saying in a court of law if you had such slam dunk evidence. She wouldn't have to do this. They'd already be in jail.
I'm living proof that even as a member of Congress, I found myself face to face with the darkest corners of humanity. You really think you know someone until you don't. In November 2023,
That was a very dramatic, very intentional pause. That was an acting method she just did there.
I accidentally uncovered some of the most heinous crimes against women imaginable.
So start as a lawyer, if I'm a defense lawyer, I'm starting off saying she accidentally uncovered. That's a question. If this were a real court of law, you're going to dive into. What does that mean, you accidentally uncovered? Which we never find out.
We're talking about rape, non-consensual photos, non-consensual videos of women and underage girls, and the premeditated, calculated exploitation of women and girls in my district.
These are heavy accusations. Very dark.
Today, you will hear about the depraved men behind these gutless and evil acts.
Mm-hmm.
These men didn't just harm their victims, they recorded their depravity as if it were a badge of honor. When I uncovered evidence of rape.
Where's the evidence? If you can't show the evidence, if it's in police hands and they won't allow me to show there's a gag order, tell people that. But that's not what she's saying. If you have it and you can show it, block some of the faces out like they did, like they do in courtrooms. They fuzzy out what you can't show, but enough to show that it does exist.
And the illegal filming of women and sex trafficking.
No sex trafficking.
I didn't just see victims. I saw a system that failed to protect them.
So one of the other red flags here, in my opinion, is just the sheer number of accusations. She's tacking crime on top of crime on top of crime. She's throwing everything in the kitchen sink at the wall.
I saw criminals who thought they could get away with it because no one had the guts, no one had the courage, no one had the bravery to hold them because we are filled with cowards.
So this shorting out of this is from the video. I don't know why they did that, but I think they kind of intentionally cut some of the things out that she said.
I will burn this system to the ground if I have to.
She'll burn it. All right, here you go.
These men aren't just criminals. They are predators. And
they brought up a big sign next to her. They had a hotline, and now this guy's replaced it with a big sign that says predators, that has a picture of all four guys, including one of her ex-husband or her ex-fiance, and their names, and it has stay away from at the bottom of it. And even at the bottom right here, it's got that little official-looking emblem, which is just a graphic they put on there. This is not an official thing, but they put that on there to make it seem like this is some FBI warning, like it's a top 10 wanted.
You can see the names and the faces of these predators on this board to my right tonight. Predators are not untouchable. These predators are not invisible. And these predators are not invincible.
Not invincible. Right. Part of her claim here is that she has been trying to get the Attorney General in South Carolina to focus on this and to do something about it. But that everybody is working against her to cover it up, which is a really odd claim, seeing as she is more famous, probably more wealthy, definitely more powerful than all of them. Nobody's heard of any of these people. Everybody's heard of her. But yet, she can't get this out. It's all very questionable.
And today, their names will be tied to their crimes and their cowardice forever. Let me say their names for the record in an alphabetical order.
That's crazy.
Eric Bowman of Sullivan's Island, South Carolina. Patrick Bryant of Mount Pleasant and Isle of Palms, South Carolina, who also goes by Brendan Patrick Bryant. John Osborne of Charleston, South Carolina. And Brian Musgrave of Fort Mill, South Carolina.
The Attorney General, which she's going to talk about in a minute, who she accuses of covering it up, is a Republican. It's not a Democrat. It's not, a Soros-funded character going after her. It's a MAGA. It's more MAGA guy than she is. It's somebody who was not on the opposite side of the January 6th thing with Trump like she was. And also happens to be a guy who is considering running for governor of South Carolina against her in 2026. Convenient.
Let me be loud and clear.
I'm sure she's
I would never allow any woman or underage girl anywhere near any of you.
Like, that is so insidious. These are supposed to be legislators. I know they're not part. I know she's not a lawyer in the justice system. That's not her position. But we have a congresswoman completely violating the innocent until proven guilty, even if there is truth to what she's saying here, which she's provided no evidence of. I mean, this is so flagrant, and so many people, because she's a Republican, they won't watch any of this. They'll never hear. They didn't pay much attention to this on the news.
When you incapacitate women, it's against the law. When you sexually assault women, it's called rape. If you film women naked without their knowledge, without their permission, and without their consent, it's called voyeurism. And it makes you a peeping Tom.
So that was another interesting part to me. She did that whole thing. She talks about rape, voyeurism, and all this very calmly, but then she emphasized that it makes you a peeping Tom. Why does someone being a peeping Tom make her more angry than somebody drugging and raping children, like she just said? That is really weird, is it not? Yeah, rape, drugging kids, minors, whatever, but, voyeurism and taking pictures of people when they're not looking makes you a peeping Tom. I wonder if part of the story, and this is speculation, is that her ex has nudes of her and maybe showed them to his friends. Because that seems to be what she's actually angry about. That was the most real emotion I've seen out of her. The peeping Toms. Not rape, blah, blah, blah. Peeping Tom. I bet that's where the real story is behind. Yeah, she can say the crazy things on the House floor because of the immunity, the constitutional protection from the debate and speech clause or whatever. I don't know. Off the top of my head, I don't know the basis for that. I guess it's so that they can have discussions and trying to create new laws without those discussions being held against them, maybe, which she's totally abusing this purpose right here. She does talk. So she does all of this at the very end of it. She does say, blah, 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 this legislation, that legislation. So she ties it all like she's doing it all for this legislation at the end. She's clearly not, but I guess she has to do that so that it fits the form of the environment.
And it is illegal. You and your business partners, like these, all business partners, when you and your business partners pay each other and you sexually abuse women, it's called sex trafficking.
When you and your partners pay each other and you sexually abuse women, it's called sex trafficking. No, that's not. You got to provide a few more details. So she's just saying this shit. No one objecting to it, just putting it out there to smear these guys in trial by media. That's not what that's called. You pay your friends and you abuse women? Wait, I think that's, you're kind of linking things together, maybe? To flesh that out a little bit?
And it is against the law. And it, by definition, makes you a sex station is also illegal. To Eric Bowman, Patrick Bryant, Brian Musgrave, and John Osborne, you have bought yourself a one-way ticket to hell. It is nonstop. There are no connections. So I and all of your victims can watch you rot for an eternity.
Run away from her. So there's somebody watching this, or somebody's gonna see Nancy Mace, and they're gonna date her because she's attractive. Run. Go date Britney Spears instead. Britney Spears is safer than Nancy Mace. At least Britney Spears isn't gonna be up here doing this. I'd be juggling knives and dancing, but whatever. All right, here's, did I get that far? Yeah, I think I got that one already. All right. So she continues. Here's a little bit. She spoke for forever, so I tried to pick some of the craziest moments.
Year, I had to tell a woman that she'd been raped, and she didn't even know it. And she didn't know it. She had no idea because she was incapacitated at the time of the rape. I knew she was raped because I accidentally found the video of her being raped.
Ma'am, a question for the witness. How did you accidentally find, was the VCR, was the tape still in? Did you break into somebody's phone? Could you please tell us how you stumbled upon? Because people don't tend to just, oops, I left the 10,000 videos of rape and drugging around the house. Shouldn't have put that on the counter.
I found photos and video of her assault on Patrick Bryant's phone. One of Patrick Bryant's business associates, John Osborne, sexually assaulted her at the home of Eric Bowman.
This is crazy, the story she tells.
Patrick Bryant and Eric Bowman both had their phones out like this as she was being assaulted.
Sounds like she's describing one guy banging a girl who's, I guess, asleep, and the other two guys filming it. Angela says, if I were Anna Paul Luna and Bobert, they're sitting behind them, I'd sneak away. Yeah, they look like they're ready to get out of there by the end of this thing. But she's describing this thing going on. They're all at one of them's house, and she adds a few details here. They're filming it, she says.
Didn't know it. She had no idea because she was incapacitated at the time of the rape. I knew she was raped because I accidentally found the video of her being raped. I found photos and video of her assault on Patrick Bryant's phone. One of Patrick Bryant's business associates, John Osborne, sexually assaulted her at the home of Eric Bowman. Patrick Bryant and Eric Bowman both had their phones out like this as she was being assaulted, as she was being raped.
How does she know that?
The two of them, the three.
How does she know whose phones they were? Were they facing them? They're facing the phones toward themselves? She couldn't know whose. This is a detail that she couldn't know.
Three of them business partners. The two of them had their phones out just like this, filming her as she was being raped. And she was completely laid out. There was no movement. There was no life. I couldn't even tell if this young woman was alive. John Osborne today, John Osborne, I want you to hear this in your omission as you're frantically texting people today. I cannot unsee what you did to this young woman is about justice for me, and tonight is about justice for all of the women that you all raped, that you all filmed, that you all photographed, that you all abused for years.
Question, ma'am. How do you know it's for years?
I would later learn that these men, the three of them, Patrick Bryant, Eric Bowman, and John Osborne, planned her rape. It was premeditated. Eric Bowman knew there were children in the home at the time of the rape, and he decided to orchestrate it anyway.
So isn't that interesting? A question, ma'am. So you're saying that there was some sort of gang rape. Two of the guys were filming another one, and they actually did it while there were children in the house. And they premeditated. They said, we're going to rape this girl, they said. We're going to drug her and rape her in the house, and we're going to do it while the kids are there. Yeah, let's do it while the kids are there, she's saying. I mean, that is crazy, this claim.
But that's not the only rape I uncovered at Eric Bowman's home. In a second video, Patrick Bryant can be seen breaking into a room, his pants undone, ready to rape.
That is, oh my God, that is such a, you can be seen breaking into a room, his pants undone, ready to rape. He just busts through the door, ready to rape. That's probably what he said, ready to rape. He broke into a room. That detail, I know I'm really getting in the weeds here, but these details to me are indications that she's lying. That's why I'm focusing on this, because she wrote this little story out. Somebody helped her. And she put these details in there that she thought was going to be impactful. And they're coming off as a little bit not congruent when it comes to real storytelling. Broke in there to a room? What, she didn't need to emphasize something like that. He's yanking his pants down, getting ready to rape, and also having to, jimmy a door open at the same time?
A different woman. Again, laid out. There was no life. There was no movement. I couldn't tell if she was alive.
Yeah, well.
Eric Bowman, his business partner.
And that's also interesting. How does she get this camera footage? So somehow she got camera footage that she saw of this guy with his pants down, clearly ready to rape, breaking into a room where there was a girl laying there, lifeless, like a dead fish, that she couldn't tell is alive. Were there just cameras all in this room? Is that what she's saying? If that's her claim, and there was a camera on the door and a camera on the bed, she needs to say that. In fact, she probably would if that were the case, in my opinion.
Filmed it. When I informed my children we were urgently fleeing our home as if our lives depended on it.
Okay, give me a break.
My children asked me.
That's fake. This is an acting. She rehearsed that breath. She needs an acting coach.
If Patrick Bryant had ever raped me.
Yeah.
I don't know how children know the inherent spirit
Yes, she does.
of humanity, but my kids knew something I did not already know.
No.
Children have a way of knowing evil in others when we don't. In searching for victims over the last year, I met other women who were raped or sexually assaulted by some of these men. The other assaults I uncovered over the last year span over a decade, almost 20 years. In talking to these victims, there's a clear...
So she has been uncovering this expansive rape network that these four men have led up that's spanned 20 years of raping, drugging and raping underage, of age girls, all of it off of filming it, busting through doors like the Kool-Aid Man. Denver says, ready to rape. And this has just now been brought to our attention. How many people have been raped since then? I guess she couldn't stop it because that attorney general in her state, who she's going to be running for governor against, he helped cover it up. It's just, she'll use this stuff in her campaign against him if she's allowed to.
Clear pattern of behavior. Women were incapacitated, they were raped. And
that's another weird, I'm sorry to keep stopping this, but this is not authentic. She says that shows a pattern of behavior. Who says 20 years they were drugging and raping little girls, and we have all the videos of them raping all this lifeless girl. They raped me, and they're peeping Toms. That shows a pattern of behavior. That is not, that doesn't make any sense to speak in that way.
Someone filmed it.
Someone filmed it.
One night in 2022, I found myself at a property owned by Patrick Bryant and Brian Musgrave on the Isle of Palms in South Carolina. Business partners Patrick Bryant and Eric Bowman were both there. I was served 2 small vodka sodas, like this glass right here, 2 small
There's another prop. She brought that in.
vodka sodas, like anyone would have at their neighborhood restaurant. A short time later, I blacked out. I have never blacked out after having a vodka soda or any adult beverage ever.
I'm going to call bullshit on that. If I had to guess, if I had to put money on that, I'm going to call bullshit.
In my life, it's never happened. But I know who has.
Who?
The women raped on those tapes that I saw. The women raped
Crazy.
that I spoke to over the course of the last year. The stories of these women were all too familiar.
Why aren't they there with
Now
you?
I know why. My memory.
Because they all use the same drink. They all brought glasses, that exact glass, same size, and they used the same drink for all of them. Even the underage ones, like the 12-year-olds, are like, here's that vodka tonic you ordered, 12-year-old.
Of that night are just flashes in and out of the dark, flashes in and out of the night. I was raped that night. Was it Patrick Bryant? I don't know. I believe that they purposely incapacitated me. Was anyone else there? Was it filmed? Was it sold on the dark web? I have no idea.
Does that seem, I can't say how someone would react to an experience like that, but she certainly didn't seem as upset about having her drink drugged and then being raped by God knows who, maybe all 4 of them, as she was about the peeping Tom.
But I know what these men do to their victims. I learned firsthand about the weaponization of government going through this trauma.
Oh, really?
Because I met it head on.
It's very quick.
I fought in silence, and it was one of the hardest things I have ever had to do. In October.
She fought in silence. This bitch fought in silence. When has she been silent since her term began?
Eric Bowman tried to intimidate.
She posts titty pictures every single day on X. She thinks she's the Davy Crockett of the ladies' room, but she fought in silence. She's more wealthy, more powerful, has more resources than any of these people who she says did this.
Me. And he tried to silence me.
Tried to silence the state attorney.
And the state of South Carolina failed to take it seriously as witness intimidation.
This is why I don't like Nancy Mace.
During the last year, I turned everything over to law enforcement and then some. I was told, for what? I am a victim here. I am turning in all of this evidence to you.
This is ultimate hashtag.
And now
you
say victims. You're a victim of rape. You're a victim of being drugged. You're a victim of a peeping Tom and voyeurism. Yet we're going to...
That peeping Tom, I'm telling you, there's some photos. And he said, I bet she found his phone of her ex. And this is speculation, okay? I can't prove this. But she seems to be really angry about the peeping Tom thing. I bet he texted after they broke up his friends a photo of her naked that she probably willingly took, if I had to guess. That is my speculation. That's my theory. It's my working theory.
To investigate you. That is what the state told me. During the last year, more than once, I was told I could be arrested. Arrested for what?
You see the shot. She knows exactly what she could be arrested for, and she knows exactly why people told her that. But she also knows that she has that immunity to say these things, as you guys mentioned in the chats we've been talking about. And so she can pretend to be dumb. And what could I be arrested for? I'm fighting for women.
These types of threats are also a way to intimidate victims, instilling fear so victims hide in the shadows, so victims don't come forward, so victims don't ask for complaints to be filed. So there is no investigation because you strike holy fear into victims, or you tell them there's nothing you can do.
But she had all this evidence, these thousands of videos for over a span of 20 years. So how does any of this make sense, what she's saying? Why do you need all of those victims to testify if you have actual videos of them and you being raped? She's hoping people are naive and think this is a court of law.
You tell them they have no value.
She should seriously be arrested for this.
I brought handcuffs with me today.
Of course you did. Bring them everywhere she goes.
If anyone would like to arrest me
Give me a break.
for standing up for women, here are my risks to jail. Because I am 100% guilty of turning over evidence of peeping toms, of
The peeping toms, man, I'm telling you.
turning over evidence of rape, of
I've never heard somebody who's been raped in such a, I mean, truly, if what she says is true, it's disturbing, it's awful, and those guys should have their dicks cut off, and they should go to prison for the rest of their lives, if what she's saying is true. She's presented no evidence of it, but I can't imagine someone being the victim of such a grotesque, awful thing as she's claiming, being more upset about the peeping Tom aspect.
turning over evidence of voyeurism, of turning over evidence of sex trafficking. And who knows, probably a heck of a lot more, and more crimes I don't have time to get into tonight. I am 100% guilty of that.
This is so crazy. They sat there, they brainstormed this, how we can bring all these props in there, and she's just not good at it. You know, when I was in college, for my econ final project, it was about legalizing drugs, Stoner, for as like a libertarian professor for my econ class, and I had to give this presentation. And instead of just getting up and talking boring, I did a demonstration. What I did is I brought in a bunch of white powdery bags, like 12 people in the class, and I put baking soda in like 12 powdery bags, and I walked right in. Instead of going to the booth or the podium, I walked over the table and started sliding little baggies to everybody at the table, like I was a drug dealer. And my teacher goes, that better not be what it looks like. And I said, it's black market, dude. You don't know what it is. And he was like, oh, whatever. And it was great. And then I brought in somebody who I said, now I'd like to introduce you to Portia, which was my friend who I got to dress like a prostitute. And I said, she's a prostitute in Milledgeville, Georgia. And she came up and I had her talk to me about all the STDs she got because they made prostitution illegal. That was a fantastic demonstration that I did. She's terrible at doing this type of thing.
Advocating for justice, despite every effort to silence me.
All right, so now she's going. Now this is the punchline for her. She's done all this bullshit. Now let's go to my opponent in the gubernatorial race 2026.
There is a silent battle raging every single day. It's not a problem confined to one race.
Look at the picture they picked of the Attorney General. Do nothing Attorney General, they just brought a sign, and they made it black and white, so and they picked a photo where it looks like he's just a mean mother effer.
It's not a problem confined to one religion. It's not a problem confined to one socioeconomic class. It's not someone else's problem. It is our problem. We must face domestic violence, sexual assault, rape, and
she doesn't give a shit about real victims, by the way. I know we're making light of this and making fun of it because she's so ridiculous, but there are women who have been victimized, who actually do fear speaking up. Victims of Jimmy Savile, who didn't have power, who were young, who were nurses, who Jimmy Savile said, I'll take away all this philanthropic money that I'm giving to your hospital if you say anything about me raping you or raping that corpse in the other room. And they were terrified. They went to police. Police said, you better not say anything because he was a whisperer to the crown, was knighted twice, and had power over the police. That is actual, real abuse of power, threatening people who are afraid to speak up. This is a mockery, what she's doing. It's an absolute mockery. And it makes those who are actual victims, first of all, get less attention. Secondly, makes it harder for them to actually be believed because of the shit she's pulling right now.
sex trafficking with courage. We must face it with clarity, and we must face it with compassion.
Shut up.
We must also face it with hardcore justice.
This is a woman who has had boob privilege her entire life and has gotten to her head. It makes her think she can get away with anything. I think that's
there is no room for those who think their strength.
And I've always been a fan of her boobs, okay? but I don't like the way she's using them for evil.
Is in intimidating and harming or threatening others. True strength lies in honor, it lies in respect, and it lies in the truth.
Right.
Real men are protectors, they're not predators.
She might as well say, vote for me for governor of South Carolina right now.
South Carolina's chief law enforcement officer, Attorney General Alan Wilson, stated 2 weeks ago tonight that he will let his, quote, record speak for itself. Attorney General Alan.
Yeah, so Romulus, there's a couple people that pointed out in the chats, even the way she's talking, it's almost, I don't want to say she's doing ASMR, but it's almost, I'm a sexy girl type talk. And until you get to the peeping Tom thing, she is probably, I don't want to speculate. I'm not going to start making accusations, but this is very revealing of her to me. Just this whole performance of it. It's that dress she's wearing, in my opinion. And this is from a standpoint of if I'm her PR person. It's like when you have a client in the courtroom and you want your client not to look, if you're defending somebody accused of murder, you don't say, let's put you in a torn, cut-off T-shirt with dirty jeans with blood stains on them, and let's put a knife in your hand. You don't walk your client out looking like the thing they're accused of. You clean them up, you get them a haircut, you get them a shave, you put them in a suit, you maybe even make the clothes look bigger than they are so that they look smaller and less likely to be someone who is a murderer. I mean, that's the type of things that lawyers talk about when they talk about the presentation of their client. Harvey Weinstein, there's these images of Harvey Weinstein walking to trial like he's about to drop dead with a walker. I guarantee you that was a choice by his lawyers to make him look like he was on death's door so that the jury would hopefully have some bit of mercy on him. And yet here she is in this form-fitting white gown that makes it even hard for a red-blooded man to hear the words she's saying because she looks very attractive in it. And her boobs, I'm saying, Nancy, put on a turtleneck. Make it too big for you. Look like what you're trying to claim to be. Not like a MILF on Pornhub.
Alan Wilson, be careful what you wish for, because your record speaks loud and clear. Women who come forward in your system,
her opponent for governor,
and on your watch.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he looks
Attorney
like a
General Alan Wilson, you know there were deliberate.
So she said his name like 3 times in a row there. That's very intentional. Keep saying his name in this negative context, create those associations with this picture that actually makes him look like a Nazi from World War II.
Delays in an investigation and what I turned over. 228 days of delay, and you know this.
So he covered it up for almost like 228 days. He covered all this up, she says.
228 days of delay. That's 7 months, 2 weeks, and 4 days of delay to investigate.
Great math.
Once again, today, you are kicking the can down the road like you always do. You are known for it. More days, more weeks,
you kick that can
and
of
more delay.
Raping videos.
Did the Attorney General contact the Department of Social Services when the state was told about a rape that happened in a home with children, when children were at home? No, he didn't.
Now she's just taking all this stuff that she said and provided no evidence, and she's putting fast forwarding. All of this is true. Now let's say the things that he didn't do to the things that we haven't proven that are true yet.
Did South Carolina's Attorney General have any of these predators indicted after being provided clear, cut and dry evidence, including video, photos, witnesses? No.
That's not how the legal process works. Can I raise my hand? Why aren't you allowed to interrupt here? I mean, this is a crime. I need to look up the law for what is allowed and what's not allowed during these speech portions of legislative speak, whatever, because, I mean, this is really, I hope that they're not allowed to say anything, because if they are allowed to say something here and they're not, and they're not calling this out. That is not how the law works. That you don't just get to say, "Oh, I got all the evidence and I got probable cause." There's a process. There's an evidentiary standard. There's precedent case law. There's statutes. Like you got to meet. Like you got to go down. It's very difficult. Law school's not easy, and writing a brief to get things accepted into a court, a trial, you have to be very precise in what you're arguing. If this were an actual court of law, she would be laughed out of the room and the case would be dismissed with prejudice or without prejudice. I can't remember. I think it's with prejudice where it can never come back again because it's so callous. And her lawyer would be disbarred. I'm not exaggerating. That's why she's doing it in this environment. And she says this stuff here so that the people who only look at her as a Republican and her as pretty and her as saying buzzwordy type stuff. I am your warrior. You get your penis out of my women's bathroom. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, yeah, we all agree with that, Nancy. But you're a fraud. And I don't mean to offend people who really like or really agree with that position she takes on the trans bathroom. I also agree with it. But she is a fraud.
He did not. When the attorney of a victim asked to speak to the Attorney General, Alan Wilson, directly, he told the attorney not to send him any information, not to send him any documents. Did the state accept additional physical evidence from me late last year when I stumbled upon it? No, they did not.
Can we see your brief? So this is the questions that a court would ask. What was your brief? What was your motion? What did you submit to the court? Show us what you submitted to the court, Nancy. At one point, she says, I don't know if I have that clip. She says it took them this period of time, I think it's a period of months, to give me a state-assigned victims counsel or something, which was a baffling thing for me to hear. I mean, the woman's worth like $10 million. And she seems to be claiming that she waited on the court to assign her a court-appointed victim's lawyer, or whatever they call it in that state, instead of getting one of her own lawyers with all the money she has.
I was also told my domestic violence incident would not be investigated. In your system, Attorney General Alan Wilson, women who come forward are threatened with investigation like I was. In your system, women who come forward are threatened with arrest like I was. While the law is explicit in protecting victims, in your system, you waited 320 days before receiving a victim's rights advocate.
That's what I'm talking about.
And only because I was persistent.
She was persistent in getting the victim's rights advocate. Could have got a high-powered lawyer that will have a advocate for you in their office. That was done because, my guess, speculating, that she knew that there had been nothing that meets a standard to get accepted into court that had been presented. And so she continued to harass them and do that, knowing that they wouldn't do it until they finally said, just shut her up, and did it, and then she could make this case. This is a crazy woman. Doesn't mean things can't happen to crazy women. But she's not helping her cause here. And Boebert and Anna Luna back there look like they are ready to get out of there. Boebert from Colorado, I'm not sure where Anna Luna comes from, but Anna Luna used to be the MAGA model, the bathing suit model. And what's interesting to me about this is, like I said, that guy in that photo who she's bashing, who she's doing that, in my opinion, because he's running against her in 2026 for governor of South Carolina. He's more MAGA than she is. He never said that January 6th was an insurrection like she did. He actually was one of the ones who said that the election was stolen from beginning to end. So the dude, Trump probably likes that dude. And she parades around like she is a big Trump girl. And yet here she is trying to say that a guy that Trump definitely likes better, much better than her, is protecting child rapist who also raped her. He's doing nothing about it. That's probably why this hasn't gotten... I'm surprised actually CNN or MSNBC didn't talk about this through that lens. Maybe they will. But as someone who pretends like she's like Trump's buddy. I mean, this is a very, maybe she's not going to need Trump's support, she thinks. I just don't think he's going to be down with this.
I was given a victim's rights advocate 10
Pelican
months,
brief.
2 weeks, and 6 days
He
later.
does. She has all the days. She should say the
10
hours.
months.
She should say, I was raped 45 times in that time.
10 and a half months the state waited to give me a victim's rights advocate.
He had so
What
many
is
videos.
wrong with you people?
He busted through 20 different doors. He broke into them with his pants down, ready to rape during that period of time. He raped so many doors open.
So let me remind you, Mr. Attorney General, you have one job, and it is to follow the law.
Isn't it interesting she spent more time in the Attorney General than she did on the other ones? It seems kind of weird.
South Carolina Attorney General Alan Wilson, you're not a real man because real men
Don't piss in my bathroom.
Real men protect women.
Shut up.
I have no respect for anyone who treats women and victims the way you do. I will stand up and stand in the way of anyone who will cause harm and abuse.
Shit I've ever heard.
And you're one of them. You've turned a blind eye to women and girls for the last 15 years. I don't have the luxury of looking away.
So 15 years he covered it up.
The larger emotional travesty for the victim.
She doesn't have the luxury of looking away because every time she pops one of those vodkas, she blacks out and apparently gets gang raped by her ex and his buddies.
Here, which overshadows all of these evil acts, is the fact the state has refused to do its job and put these predators behind bars, in effect telling these victims they have no value. Justice delayed is justice denied. The delays have been long enough. My outrage over your broken system and my passion to call it out and fix it isn't personal. I have an
It's not personal. It sure sounds personal.
Of my constituents, even if it's from someone I know personally.
It sure sounds personal.
To the victims tonight, I want you to know you have value. And you as a victim can still have victory after tonight.
Yeah.
To those concerned about false accusations, and they do real consequential harm to real victims. But the existence.
All right. She's just, it's really, really bad. I think I have to postpone the Super Bowl thing for, and that's just, and that's not all of it. I'll give some more information because I want to give full disclosure here. So that went on and on and on. And at the end of it, she said, I will be your iron. So she is, it's just like she would say with whatever, I will be your women's bathroom door or whatever her old slogan was. Now it's, I'll be your iron for all of the sex trafficking and for all the peeping Tom victims that she's so angry about. She's like, she's like, you know what I don't like? It's my Nancy Mace impersonation. You know what I really don't like is rape. But you know what I really, really don't like is peeping Toms. Oh, rape, peeping Toms though. Don't you dare. That guy who she just accused of all that, he had a statement, and in his statement he said the following. Let me pull that up, and then I will. Where is that? Hold on. Sorry, I accidentally clicked it out. I'm getting too performative here, like Nancy Mace, and I'm messing up my whole demonstration. Jeez Louise. Where in the world? Oh, there it is. Okay. I know what I did. All right. So see this here. This is a press release, a news release from the office of the South Carolina Attorney's General office on Representative Mace's comments on the House floor, and it says, "Why does it do that?" All right, I gotta move this over here so I can see it. His statement says the following. Goodness gracious. Sorry, I'm having a different monitors switch the screen size, and it can be a bit difficult to see. Recent statements made by Congresswoman Nancy Mace regarding the conduct of the South Carolina Attorney General are categorically false. Ms. Mace either does not understand or is purposefully mischaracterizing the role of the Attorney General. At this time, our office has not received any reports or requests for assistance for any law enforcement or prosecution agencies regarding these matters. That didn't sound like what she said. Additionally, the Attorney General and members of her office have had no role and no knowledge of these allegations until her public statements. And then continues, Congresswoman Mace and the Attorney General have been at multiple events together over the last 6 months. She also has the Attorney General's personal cell phone number. Not once has she approached or reached out to him regarding any of her concerns. Regarding her claim that the Attorney General refused to receive evidence of a crime of a crime from a victim's attorney, it is important to clarify that the Attorney General is the chief prosecutor. For this reason, the Attorney General would always direct any citizen to provide evidence of a crime to the appropriate law enforcement agency, which would be responsible for the investigation. That's exactly right. The way she told that story is the victim walks right up to the Attorney General's office and said, "Here's all the evidence." Not how it works. Since stepping into the office, the Attorney General has made it a priority to strengthen the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force, establish a human trafficking task force, which is now considered a model nationwide, led efforts to reform the state's domestic violence law, and created the Crime Victim Services Division, which makes it easier for victims to receive help. Before serving as Attorney General, Alan Wilson served as the Assistant Solicitor and Assistant Attorney General, successfully prosecuting many heinous crimes against women and children. It is clear the Attorney General, Alan Wilson, has built his career on protecting the most vulnerable in our state. Any statement otherwise is a blatantly false, politically motivated. Now, obviously, that's probably how somebody would react, even if some of the things were true, although he's right about the way she misrepresented how the law works, which is another strike on Nancy Mace. It's a court of public opinion is what Nancy Mace is obviously doing. Now, her ex-fiancé, he also denied all the claims and said it was a lie. Hold on. And there was, however, this very interesting tidbit, which I haven't figured this out yet. But it seems like there's it seems like something Nancy Mace did to lend some credibility to her claims because she couldn't do so through the process. And South Carolina. Okay, so here it is. Dadgummit, where'd it go? Dadgummit. South Care. Okay, so the South Carolina, where the heck did it go? Sorry. My notes are being all weird. All right, so the South Carolina Police Department, when they were asked, they apparently did open up an investigation into allegations of assault, harassment, and voyeurism on December 14th, 2023, after being contacted by the United States Capitol Police. And that investigation is into Patrick Bryant, her ex. I think this supports my theory. Because you see, they didn't open up an investigation about rape or drugging people, and they didn't open up an investigation into the other three. If she has all these videos of all of them raping people together, they would all be under investigation. But the focus here is assault, harassment, and voyeurism, which is tied to the peeping Tom. He took photos, I bet, that she let him take, and he showed them to his friends. And I don't know how or why or how it works where you can get the Capitol Police to trigger an investigation and South Carolina, because obviously she would have done it through South Carolina if it met the evidentiary standards. But there must be some sort of mechanism that gives the Capitol Police power that they do not have, which I tried to find that before the show, but I didn't have enough time. But I'm going to see if I can figure that out. But they said that subject was of the fiance, and they described the ongoing case as complex, said they've conducted multiple interviews, served multiple warrants, and a well-documented case file. And yet she says she has thousands of videos of rape of unconscious women, including herself and including children happening. And yet a years-long investigation has not been conclusive enough to prosecute anyone, let alone investigate anyone for any of the things that she said happened. It's crazy. It's really crazy. I didn't even mean to focus on that for so long, but like, I guess that's kind of what I do. Is that is high-level abuse of power, in my opinion, deception. I don't know anything about those guys. Again, they could very well be dirtbags, but Nancy Mace is a dirtbag. And I tell you what, she better prove that they did what she said they did, because she is the worst piece of shit on the planet if she's making this shit up. Great tits, big piece of shit. I've been to Fat Shack. It's good. Very good. All right, so I'm going to have to skip the part 2 of the ads. Maybe we'll do that. We'll do one more quick story to kind of palate cleanse. We'll get, we had Boebert in that story. So how about a little more Lauren Boebert, who, I like Boebert a lot more than Mace. Boebert's just like a little hot redneck grandma who's 37 years old, also very well endowed in the chest area. Story says this. It was out my framing of it is that it's a match made in heaven, as it's being reported now that 38-year-old gilf Lauren Boebert, in my opinion, might have found her perfect suitor, Kid Rock. As a newly released video of inauguration night has come out that showed the two of them getting into a taxi at 2:30 in the morning after one of the inauguration parties. Do people still use taxis in big cities? There's no Uber? I don't know. Maybe they do. But one source told TMZ that Lauren was totally transfixed by the rock star, yapping away, doing a little dance and clapping like she was in the front row of his concert, basically giving Kid Rock all the hype he needed. They didn't just leave together. This was at the party beforehand. And she was seen dancing and chatting up Kid Rock, who at one point Kid Rock responded by jumping up and down gleefully, which seemingly earned an applause from Boebert. And what's that comic's name? The roast comic? What's his name? Somebody mentioned it earlier in the show. I don't know. The guy who roasted Tom Brady and Kill Tony. So I think Kill Tony was standing with him also. I'll get the image up. Show it to you guys. See, get rid of that. Get rid of that. Yeah, here's the. So this is hilarious, but also, come on, Daily Mail. This is unnecessary for Daily Mail here. Even Daily Mail, this is too far here. This to me is a very wholesome meeting. They both love Trump. They're both, even though Kid Rock's from Detroit, Boebert's in Colorado. I don't know where she's originally from. They're both rednecky. Let's go steal a chair from Waffle House at 3 a.m. They're my kind of people, okay? And so I appreciate that they're finding this love connection together. And you have to have the Daily Mail come in and do it dirty like this with a headline that says, "Filthy Lauren Boebert dances for Kid Rock in behind-the-scenes video before leaving party in dead of night." Why's it got to be filthy Lauren Boebert? She's not stripping her clothes off. She's not Nancy Mace in the situation here. She actually looks like they're just having a good time. Here's the video. Journey's great. That's great that Journey is on. There they are. She does. She does look transfixed. Oh my God. Look at it. They're smoking weed, it looks like, together. Grandma Bobert getting a little ball with your ball. Dude. They did not need to frame that as filthy Lauren. That wasn't filthy. That was just Bobert just having fun with old Kid Rock. I mean, you know, they went home, maybe went to Waffle House, maybe Kid Rock fought the cook or something, went to his hotel in Nashville, maybe shot some beer cans off the balcony, and maybe they found a love connection for all we know. I hope they get married. Although, I'll say this for Kid Rock, though. Kid Rock was on the prowl that evening. Because earlier in the day, this is what Kid Rock was doing. This is daylight time before any of that happened. Looked like it was late at night. Kid Rock, I feel like Kid Rock showed up to he did a wake and bake during the inauguration. Probably had a 40 on the way to it. And he did this interview with this woman that he'd never seen before. And so when you do these interviews with mainstream networks, you can't actually see them. So when you see the guest, they're just looking into a big camera. Even though it looks like they're looking at each other. They're not. So this is what Kid Rock's doing here.
You go skiing.
He's talking about, this is on Inauguration Day, just a few hours before his love connection with Bobert. He's talking to a blonde BBC reporter.
Today. What about you? What are you doing? Where are you at?
Well, I'm standing on a rooftop in these very, very chilly conditions. I will be on air for 11 or 12 hours, so I don't think I'll have anywhere near as fun a day as you have planned for yourself there. That sounds like you got the better deal here, indeed.
I mean, I can't see you right now, so I don't know what you look like.
Well, I look like I'm ready to hit the slopes, I can tell you. I'm in full-on ski gear here with my hat, gloves, the whole thing, ready to rock, because you got to be wrapped up against the elements, don't you?
I love to go skiing. I love to go skiing. You sound sexy. You want to go with me?
Did you see the shoulder shrug? Kid Rock, for those listening, is dressed like someone who's going to hit you up for a couple bucks outside of the Chevron in downtown Atlanta. He don't give a shit. You look kind of sexy in that shrug. Come on, baby. He's got some audacity. Good for
you. To go skiing. I love to go skiing. You sound sexy. You want to go with me?
Well, we won't get into that right here. So we're doing no skiing today. We've got a day of broadcasting to do. But Kid Rock, thank you so much for joining us here on BBC News. Enjoy your day.
Kid Rock was asking every chick to do something on Inauguration Day, and he found Lauren Bobert. I hope they have babies together. I hope he writes a whole new line of music, wholesome, not so ba with the ba. Don't get me wrong, I like ba with the ba. But maybe some slow country songs for his baby Bobert. And I would really like to see that, because I think she could set an example for the type of women we need in Congress, which Nancy Mace is tarnishing the women of Congress, I feel like. Propagandafight.com is the website. Subscribe. Propaganda Report podcast on your podcast app. YouTube.com. Women do kind of like confident men. That's another lesson. So with Trump, with Kid Rock here, especially Kid Rock. Kid Rock is hitting on this hot chick, and she's laughing, she's giggling, literally looking like the dirtiest homeless person outside of Chevron. He does not care. That's confidence right there. Fake it till you make it, baby. It's a good lesson. So whatever you believe about Trump or RFK or any of that, the fact that people are focusing on health more because of the conversation around RFK, and I think the idea of, like you said, confidence and achievement. So Trump might do all this stuff with Israel and all that a lot of people don't like, but he does, unlike the Democrats, which projected this, you can't do anything at all you are dependent on government attitude. Trump does have more of an aspirational, if people can do things. You know, he's like, I'm going to make it happen for you, but he does project out, you can achieve things, in my opinion. And I think that's an important thing for our culture. BBC Energy, totally. All right, guys. I hope I didn't lose anybody with that Mace stuff. I just don't. She, to me, is if you want to watch a grift, watch a Nancy Mace. And we will see what kind of developments happens with her accusations there. What's up, JC, TT? I'll check out that message you sent me, TT, and we will see you guys tomorrow night at 8:30 with Charlie Robinson for the Macro Aggressions Podcast. You guys have a fantastic rest of your day.